I'm Jingyao, third year student at NUS studying computer science, and I'm also a chess grandmaster.
One of the up-and-coming stars of Sin.
Biggest upset of the second round by eliminating Shakir Mamedyarov.
Yeah, and then I've been playing chess for about 15 years now, and yeah, so that's mainly what I do. I remember going for like a placement test, and I remember passing like the placement test for like the first two grades, so I skipped straight to the third one. I already thought like, this is something that I could explore for a long time. I'm pretty confident about myself, so I go into the game trying to win, no matter who my opponent is. Like, I like to think things through before I do it.
Black or white?
Having a playing style is essentially like having a weakness,
What does it mean to you to achieve the rank of Grandmaster?
It was definitely, I think, and might be the greatest milestone of my chess career so far. The next immediate goal is to cross 2600. The one player that I definitely want to play against the most is...
What do you usually do after a loss? How do you cope with all of these stresses?
I do find it difficult. I have been a victim of like emotions before and made like irrational decisions because of that. Remind myself that I'm able to still play well in chess. Yeah. Being able to win was, of course, something else, for me.
You started at the age of 8, and you said that it was already quite old.
Maybe at the time it wasn't, but I think especially nowadays, many who are getting into chess are very, very young kids. And yeah, I think a lot, 8 players, okay, I wouldn't say it's like old, but there are just like there are a lot of other players who are starting at much younger ages, like 5, 6, or I don't know if possibly even younger. Yeah, but of course, 8 is a very reasonable age to start as well.
You start learning chess you found chess on your own, or did your parents play chess, and how do you come to know about chess?
Yeah, so for me, I found chess on my own. The story was that I was staying over at my aunt's house, and I was using their laptop. And back then, the laptops all came with like a couple of pre-installed games like Solitaire, Minesweeper, this kind, right? And chess was one of those games. And so I kind of picked up all these games at once from the computer, chess included. And that's where I started. And then my parents didn't play chess before that. So actually, it's because I started to learn chess that my dad also went to go and learn the rules, so that we were able to maybe talk about the game whenever I played a game of chess. Yeah, and from there afterwards, shortly after, I think I started going for lessons, and that's how kind of my chess career started.
So at which point did you say to yourself, hey, maybe we can take this somewhere, Was it the same year as you started, or a couple of years later? Or when was the inflection point?
When his dad started losing to him all the time. No, I'm kidding.
No, I think it was probably quite shortly after I started, because I enjoyed the game a lot. I remember going for like a placement test to decide like which lesson, like which grade I should kind of start in. And I remember passing like the placement test for like the first two grades, so I skipped straight to the third one. And then so from there, I guess I was like quite confident in my own abilities, and I already thought like, this is something that I could explore for a long time.
Now, right to the chess game, I'd just like to throw out a quick question. I don't know if you have any preferences, but black or white?
Now, definitely white. I think the more I play chess, the more years I play chess, the more I prefer white, because of course, white has advantage because white gets to go first in a chess game. But I guess at a lower level, or at least when I first started out, the difference between going first and going second is not as noticeable. But the more years I play chess now, like this simple difference of being able to go first is starting to make a bigger and bigger impact. So definitely nowadays, playing white is a lot more pleasant than playing black.
We're talking about chess itself, right? I'm not a chess player. I know nothing about chess. But I'm very interested in chess because the past few weeks when they were having they call it, is it the FIDE Chess World Cup?
Yes.
It was blasted over my feed, and back then I don't know why, I was just very interested because I keep seeing Magnus on my feed, I keep seeing Prague on my feed every day, and I don't know why, I just went to watch the game, and it was very interesting. And then I started searching up on chess, and there's Gary as well. I think he's from Russia, right? And I saw an article also that you played with him when you were younger, right? What was that, 8 years old or 10 years old?
I think that was when I was 10. Yeah, he came to Singapore for like a simultaneous exhibition, and I was one of the players.
So when you say simultaneous, he's playing everyone at the same time, or?
Yeah, so he's like playing everyone at the same time. That's
What?
how a simultaneous
That's
exhibition
crazy,
works.
man.
Yeah, I don't remember
Okay.
how many boards he played, but I'm pretty sure during that one he won every single game.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
What was your thoughts like at that point in time? Like when you saw him, when you played him, and then him winning everything, like what were the thoughts that were in your mind? I mean, you're 10 years old. I mean, I don't even know whether you can remember or.
I think I was, of course, nervous, but I think more than that, I was very excited to be able to play like a player who can be considered like the greatest chess player of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
so it was definitely a great experience for me, especially being able to play against a player like him, just like starting out chess for just about 2 years at the time.
That's wonderful. And then, I mean, just talking about chess in general, I mean, we circle back to chess. What do you think? Do you think chess, is there any luck involved, or is it just pure skill, or is it a mixture of both?
I think players can consider, some players will think that there's luck in chess because sometimes a chess game can go over for like 4, 5, 6 hours, and one player could be dominating the game for most of the game, and then suddenly he just makes like a single huge mistake and loses the game all of a sudden. And so sometimes if that happens, like let's say I'm losing the game for 4 hours straight, and then suddenly my opponent slips like that and I win the game, I might think that, oh, I got lucky this game, right? So in that sense, there is some kind of luck in chess, but also, I mean, I think this also comes down to how consistent you are as a player. Like if you're more consistent, then these kinds of one move slips won't happen as often. So I think in the bigger picture, chess doesn't really involve a lot of luck. It is mainly about I think staying consistent. But I guess for singular moments like these, we sometimes think of it as luck. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I see. That's interesting because, I mean, you mentioned that, I mean, there's different types of chess games, right? Like you said, some can go for long hours and some can, some can go rapidly. So there's mental fatigue or there's like sometimes you're in a rush to do a move. So it's very contextual as well. I mean, like what you mentioned, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of more like variants for those shorter time controls, the very fast kinds. Yeah, and you can see those like players taking wins left and right from each other. Yeah.
Could you walk us through what is your thought process when perhaps that this person moves a chess piece, or in a long game, or like in a standard one versus like a blitz?
So for a standard game, you have a lot of time to think. So the thought process is whenever your opponent makes a move and you encounter a new position, you will try to spot like what we call candidate moves. So you will identify maybe 2 or 3 moves that look promising. And then from there, you would look deeper into these moves by calculating a few moves in advance. Like for example, you would think like if I make move A, then my opponent will play some this in response, and then what would I do in response, and so on. And then we will consider moves A, B, and C, and then eventually we will decide which one we think is the best and play one of them. So there's this kind of like a systematic approach to thinking for a longer game. For a shorter game, you don't have the luxury to do that. So you just have to mostly rely on your instincts, like whatever comes to your mind and feels correct. You verify it within a few seconds and you just play the move.
Interesting. Because I always thought that they had their same strategy in mind, or specific strategy in mind each time that happens. But I guess the blitz one really shows how much you need to train for, such that these strategies become instinct, Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I think in blitz, it comes down to almost purely instinct.
Okay, how many types of types of chess games are there? Like, I mean, you said there was Blitz, there was like a normal game. Usually in competitions, how many different types are there?
Yeah, so I see we're referring to time control. So for over the board, we have usually just three, which is standard, the long game,
Mm-hmm.
Blitz, which is the fast one, and then there's rapid, which is like in between the two.
Mm-hmm.
A rapid game would be maybe last about 1 hour in total. And then, but another popular format is called Bullet, which is the fastest of them all. Usually, it's only played online because if you were to play it with a physical board, it would be too fast and pieces would kind of just fly. Yeah, so Bullet is traditionally played only online so that you don't have this problem. And it's like usually 1 minute per player or less. So the game ends in like 1 or 2 minutes.
But hey, which is your favorite? Which is your favorite format?
Definitely, the faster the game, the more exciting. So I myself, I play a lot of Blitz and Bullet online. Like every day, I'll play many games of that. And but I think every once in a while, I do crave like a standard game, a long game, where I can like sit down and actually think through the game. Yeah, but I think overall, probably Blitz or I would say Bullet would be my favorite time control.
I guess back when I was young, chess was quite popular. I see myself bringing chess boards and we playing chess, Chinese chess, English chess in school. But as of recent, chess feels like maybe not too recent, like maybe a couple of years back, chess didn't seem so popular anymore. With the rise of Andrew Tate, he also is a big proponent of chess, right? And chess seems to be resurfacing. Like, but what do you think the outlook of chess has been so far for you?
I think in the recent years, it's been great. I think for the community, like it's been growing a lot in popularity, especially over the last like maybe 3 or 4 years. I think partly because of COVID that everyone had to stay at home, and then chess is one of the things that you can pick up while you're at home.
Yeah.
And then and people had a lot more like I guess free time at home, and then they could just hop online and play chess. So I think that was a huge factor in the kind of like surge in chess popularity. And also there were some other factors like I think there was the very popular Netflix series, The Queen's Gambit, which also helped to boost the popularity of chess a lot. So yeah, and these things have kind of happened like at similar times. So it was maybe a nice coincidence or not that these factors led to a huge surge in popularity for chess. Yeah.
I also want to circle back to the point about you mentioned earlier that you had a chance to play with one of the best players in the world in chess at the age of 10. So I know now that you've just became a grandmaster last year, and recently you've battled a lot of very high ranking or ELO players as well. How do you feel when you challenge these players?
I think every time I am able to face one of these world class players, I'm very excited to get the chance to be able to face them over the board. And but I tend not to be too nervous because I think the psychology is that you cannot think that you are inferior to your opponent. If not, you just simply will not perform at your best. So you must believe that you can match your opponent like toe to toe. And so yeah, every time I go into a game, I'm pretty confident about myself. And yeah, so I go into the game trying to win, no matter who my opponent is.
Do you find that sometimes your emotions may come into play, or you're just always focused about the next strategy and it never really affects you? In like the fourth hour, maybe you get tired or made a wrong move.
Yeah, emotions definitely do come into play, especially in a long game, because it's like as the game goes longer, you become more and more invested in the game. Definitely, as a player, you should try to avoid these kinds of emotions and make every decision objectively and rationally. So you got to tell yourself like, oh, like let's say even if I just made some mistake and I lost all my advantage, I still got to look at the current position and be like, what's the best thing I can do given the current situation. Yeah, of course, sometimes it's like easier said than done. Sometimes I have been a victim of like emotions before and made like irrational decisions because of that. But yeah, it's something to consciously take note of and something important if I want to bring my game to the next level.
In terms of, the waiting time between your games, like how long do you usually have from one game to the next game in a competition?
So for classical games, because it's a long game, usually we actually have one game a day. So it's a lot of rest time. So a tournament is like usually 9 rounds, so it'll be almost 2 weeks. And sometimes between games, you might even have a rest day. So it can be like you play one game and then you rest a day, and then your game is on the following day. So for chess competitions, we have really a lot of free time in between. And so if you just lost your game, you would have to like wait an entire day before you even get to play your next game. So
that one
that's why
rest
it
day
can
could be one day that you just beat yourself up, man.
Yeah, that's why it's quite frustrating. Yeah, especially if you lose like right before the rest day, that's like the worst feeling.
So just to follow up from there, I mean, okay, so what happens or what do you usually do after a loss? Like, I mean, it's a bit of a downer of a question, but like, do you like analyze your game? Do you watch the video like 1,000 times, or
Yeah, so I think for many chess players, it's actually you have this just urge to analyze a game after it's finished. I think even if you lose, so for me, it's the same. I think even if I lose a tough game, my first urge is to like analyze the game, see like what went wrong, what chances did I miss, and so on. So I think that'll be like the first thing I do after I lose a chess game. And then after that, if I'm still feeling sad, like if then it depends on my mood. Sometimes the way I cope is actually to just play more chess. Like I'll just hop online and then just play some blitz games with random people on the internet. And I guess that kind of helps me distract myself from the loss. And also it's good because I'm playing games online that have no stakes, so it's no pressure. And I will probably be able to win some of those games. So it kind of can remind me of like why I enjoy playing this game. Just being able to hop online, play a lot of blitz games, and remind myself that I'm able to still play well in chess. Yeah.
nice? And what happens if you win? Will you do the same? Analyze as well?
If I win, I definitely will analyze the game as well. It's in fact probably will spend more time analyzing because it's like a happy memory. You want to go over it more.
Reinforcement.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess after that, I can go do something else or play chess again, depending on my mood. Yeah.
Do you base your game on anyone else, or do you follow? You have any inspiration, or I don't know? It's just a mixture of everything that you've learned, the strategies that you think would be good in a chess game.
For me, I don't really think I model any particular player. I think a lot of my opening repertoire and playing style was formed based on my first one or two coaches. Yeah, so they taught me like a couple of openings, and I've been pretty much playing the same or very similar things and using a very similar playing style since back then. And so I think that would define most of my playing style currently.
How do you cope with playing chess? This competitions internationally, while keeping up with studies, because there's a lot of traveling involved.
Yeah.
How do you cope with it? Like, wow. I mean, I know you're studying computing, right? I mean, you're in school of computing, and I know it's a very technical subject. It can be very difficult. I've got a few friends in NUS computing. So how do you cope with all of this stresses?
So for me, actually, I do find it difficult to be able to travel for competitions during the school term. I think over my last 2 years in university, I've only done that once, which is to travel during the school term. So most of the time, I would just find the time during the university break to travel overseas for competition. So actually, it's quite nice because in university, in a year, we have about 4 months of break. So that's quite a lot of time to travel overseas for competition. So That's why you see, I think most of my competitions will be like between the May and July period or in December. So I guess that's one way of coping, is to like just focus on one thing at a time. Like during the school semester, I'm usually just studies are my first priority, and I still do try to train every day. So on weekdays, usually I'll just train online by myself. And then on weekends, there might be some official training at the federation or something like that. Yeah, so during the school term, it's more focused on just training. And then the school break will be more focused on practical experience and going overseas for competitions.
I see the way
Beautiful.
you speak, right? It's logical, it's decisive, and also the modules that you take, or the degree that you took, right? Computer science, chess. Does it also apply in other aspects of your life? Like you're thinking a couple of steps ahead, you're planning strategies for what to do, etc.
That's an interesting question. I guess, yeah, I would probably consider myself like I like to think things through before I do it. And yeah, I like I like to think like that I'm a more logical person, I guess. And yeah, I like to plan things ahead, and not so good with the more like impromptu stuff, and would prefer to be able to plan beforehand. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So I don't know if it's a coincidence or it's because I play chess, but yeah, that's how I am.
In the recent years, AI has evolved so much, and some AI bots, they win you in Go. I remember there was one popular AI bot that they created, and they train on themselves. They train by practicing against themselves, and they managed to win, come up with a new strategy. And even like in games like Dota, AI is beginning to somewhat win pro players. Do you feel that it might impact the way of how chess is going to be in the future, or?
Yeah, so actually for chess, AI or chess engines have already been stronger than humans for many, many years.
Shit.
I think I don't even know starting from which year they started to, I think, consistently beat humans. But yeah, at this point in time, AI chess engines are so much stronger than humans that pretty much even the best chess player would not be able to even hold a draw against the best chess computer. So yeah, that's how much better they are. And so in basically everyday training, we always use the help of chess engines because they are just so much better than us humans.
Okay.
Yeah, and yeah, so we use it for training, and then also for, I think, even for casual players, when they want to watch chess games and they don't really understand what's going on, they would often have an engine at the side to help them kind of understand the game. Yeah, and it's a very convenient way because it's automated and it's accurate.
This is regards to some of the chess players in the world. Is there one in particular that you have in mind that you really want to play against, or a couple of them, like top 3 that you've never played against before and you really want to play with them?
Yeah, I think the one player that I definitely want to play against the most is Magnus. I suppose you know who that is. Yeah. So yeah, Magnus Carlsen. Yeah, because like he's okay, in my opinion, also he's the best chess player of all time. And for most of my chess career growing up, he was the best player. And so it would be great if I had a chance to play against him. And I think by far he's the one that I want to play against the most.
So he just kept it off with the win, right? He was missing out that FIDE World Cup win, and he just got it. Is that the highest accolade that you can get in chess? Because I'm not sure. Is the FIDE World Cup like the same as the football or soccer World Cup? Like in chess, in the game of chess, is that the highest that you can attain?
It's definitely one of the highest. I think most chess players would consider like the World Chess Championship as the highest, like the best thing you can achieve. The World Cup is probably number 2 or number 3, I would think. But I think it was so significant for him because he has pretty much won like everything else. Like he has been world champion before. Every major world event he has like won before. It's only the World Cup that he has not won before. So essentially, by winning the World Cup this year, some kind of say like, oh, he has like completed chess. He has won everything. Yeah, so that's why it was such a like huge milestone.
And I mean, that's wonderful. And talking about milestones, I mean, what does it mean to you to achieve the rank of Grandmaster? Like, how long does it usually take, and what does it mean to you to get that?
Yeah, so for me, it was definitely a huge milestone. I think maybe a couple of years back, I might even have thought of this as like the final milestone. But now that I've achieved it, I realized that I can probably try and push even further. But yeah, it was definitely, I think, and might be the greatest milestone of my chess career so far. And it's like something something that's tangible and recognizable. Like I think for many chess players, if they are serious and improving, like this Grandmaster title at the end is like always like the final goal. So it's really nice to have been able to achieve this after working towards it for, I think, many years, almost a decade.
Wow. And I think Fabian mentioned this a few days ago, that there's a title that's above Grandmaster, is it?
This is not official one.
Yeah, so
Super Grandmaster.
yeah, I think that's what you're referring to. So there's a Super Grandmaster. It's not an official title, but it's usually we refer to Grandmasters who have crossed the rating of 2,700 as we usually refer to them as Super Grandmasters.
I see.
Well, you're pretty close to that, isn't it? You're like
I think it's still a way to go. Yeah, I'm currently sitting at over 100 points away from that mark, and I think also like every 100 points is harder than the previous 100 points. So I think I still need to improve to get there.
I think a lot of articles came out when you beat one of the Shark guy, SHAK. I think his FIDE rating was about 270, 2,700 as well back then.
Yeah, so at the time where I played him, I think he was like 2,740-ish. And yeah, so he was like the strongest player I've played in an over-the-board event. And being able to win was, of course, something else. Yeah, for me.
Yeah, I think definitely being able to, match something or beat something that's greater than you really puts you in a spot of like confidence and puts you in a very good position to further your chess game or other things in life. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It's like every time I go overseas and play like one of these really, really top players in the world, it just gives me more and more confidence. It's why I try and play more events and just to it's a good way to like test how far I've improved.
I want to ask a strange question. In terms of country-wise, is there like different countries have perhaps prefer different strategies, or most of them largely stick to the same stuff, same opening, same mid games, or?
I think generally no, there isn't such a trend. Although I think some players do like to make these kinds of observations. Like I guess maybe one example I can give is that maybe for the players around our region, like Southeast Asia, I think many would view that maybe the like Filipino players tend to be maybe more aggressive in general and like to play like sharper, more tactical kinds of games. That just seems to be like the general trend. Of course, there's like exceptions to every rule, and I think the higher level you go, you sort of notice this less and less, because if a player is strong, then they would have kind of all these different areas covered, and you would notice a lot less of a playing style. Yeah, I think actually Magnus has mentioned before that like having a playing style is essentially like having a weakness, Yeah, so like
Interesting.
Yeah, so I think as a player gets stronger, you start to notice it like less and less.
So it's good to be unpredictable. I mean,
Yeah, it's more like if you have a style, that means you're good in one area, but then it means that there's probably some other areas of chess that you're not so good at and that you can be targeted at. So if so for most players, if they reach a certain level, they would be, at least like decent in all these different areas. So that's why you notice less of a style, I think.
Okay.
And perhaps going back to the milestones part where you guys talked about, hitting Grandmaster, and I know you mentioned in some of your interviews that Grandmaster wasn't really a thing that you really thought to achieve. So, but now you kind of got Grandmaster already. Is there a milestone next for you? Something else like a win in a certain competition or?
Yeah, so I think just for chess, I think one of the common like indicators is like your FIDE ELO, your rating.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I guess the next immediate goal is to cross 2600. And beyond that, I hope to be able to cross 2700 one day, which is like the so-called super grandmaster. So so that's kind of like the final goal for now.
Mm-hmm.
And for winning events, of course, it'll be, nice to, in the process, be able to win a couple of events. Maybe one of the most prestigious ones, at least for Southeast Asia, will be like the SEA Games. So if I get to participate in that again, I hope to be able to win a gold medal at that event.
I'm sure you will.
Wonderful.
Just a quick one. I remember back when I was younger, I was going through an incredibly tough period in my life where I had no one to talk to about my problems. There was no place I could share my honest thoughts and feelings because I was just so afraid of being judged by people. And I realized that was so bad for my mental well-being. It's like bottling up everything and just waiting for a day where it all explodes. So no, we're not gonna let that happen for you. Because my team and I have developed a free social app called huddle.so, where you can share all your problems anonymously, whatever is currently on your mind that's bothering you, whatever is making you upset or giving you sleepless nights. This is a non-toxic app where you can just be yourself, heal, and make many wholesome friends that will be there for you to support you during difficult times. The app is currently available on iOS at the moment, so good news for iPhone users. But we are working really hard to get an Android version out as soon as we can, so we don't miss out on the rest of you. So trust me, download the app, give it a shot, and I guarantee you that your future you will thank you for taking care of yourself. I'll put the link in the description below as well, and I'll see you in Harvest.